Buenos dias and welcome to AM Excellence 56. AM Excellence 56 Motivation. So it is 6 o'clock on Thursday, October 13th, and I just started a new book called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us, written by Daniel Pink. So motivation is key in everybody's life. And reading the books I read or studying the people that I study, listening to interviews, a lot of people look at motivation, the word motivation, as kind of a fluff word, kind of a substance word, a fluff word that doesn't really contain substance. Because the truth is, if you have motivation but you don't take action, it's pointless. Nothing gets accomplished. And there's a quote that is a quote somewhere in some sort of variation that says, "A dream without a plan is just a dream." It's that same idea. You could have the motivation to get things done, but if you don't do it, nothing's going to come of it. So before I dive into this book, I do want to add that I'm really excited about the podcast, The Fighter's Mindset, that comes out today. It is an interview, and since it is 6:01, it is coming out already right now. It is with Frankie Edgar, former UFC champion, world-class person, a friend, a mentor, a role model to me. So I'd encourage you all to please check that out. You can find it at charlie-brenneman.com/podcast. So we're getting into what motivates us. So right now, as you're listening, as you're sitting there thinking to yourself, whether it's 6:02 a.m. or later in the day, what motivates you? Is it money? Is it a car? Is it looking good? Is it a nice body? Is it impressing your friends? Is it social gratification, feeling good about yourself because other people feel good about you? So the point of this book is going to be to get to the source of that. And something interesting happened here. I've been reading these videos, doing these videos. Normally I just pick a book and read it. But as I was considering the next book, I started to think, well, what are my people going to like? Are my people going to enjoy it? So I'm not saying that I'm going to start a book and finish it till the end. I have to keep the integrity of these videos and the integrity of what I'm doing. So if I don't, whatever, if I decide to go a different direction with the book, we'll do that. If I get feedback from you guys as to, where you'd like the videos to go, you're always welcome to suggest that as well. But the first thing that we're talking about is the idea of intrinsic rewards versus extrinsic rewards. Is it for money? Is it for a promotion? Is it for a nice house? Or is it to impact people? Is it to make a change in the world, leave a legacy for your children? So it really gets on the subject. It starts to dive into that this morning. And it says, and again, this is Drive by Daniel Pink. When money is used as an external reward for some activity, the subjects lose intrinsic interest for the activity. Rewards can deliver a short-term boost, just as a jolt of caffeine can keep you cranking for a few more hours. Hey, Matt, bienvenidos. So the intro to this book is talking about extrinsic rewards, money, promotions, etc. And he's saying that they last for a while, but they wane, they go away. The things that I've done in my life and my career, yes, the money, the money. Yeah, I didn't really make money, but a bonus here and there, or the titles, the accolades, the awards, they're awesome. But the truth is, they go. So you have to search for something bigger than that. What is motivating you deep inside? And he goes out to say, and this is a weird thing. So I might say, I feel pretty comfortable saying that I'm addicted to hard work. I love hard work. I love working hard. I love watching other people work hard. It's something that I value and respect. I don't care if it's a pianist. I don't care if it's an athlete, an actor, a professor, a coach, a player, anything. I value and respect hard work. And he goes on to say that human beings, so this makes me feel more normal. He goes on to say that human beings have an inherent tendency to seek out novelty and challenges, to extend and exercise their capacities to explore and to learn. I have a note here that says, first you get the money, then you get the power. Yeah, and the last part, we'll let that one go. Human beings have an inherent tendency to seek out novelty and challenges, extend and exercise their capacities to explore and to learn. So a common theme of what I'm spreading in these videos is embrace those challenges, embrace those obstacles, embrace that uncomfortability. I mention all the time this term uncomfortability, which technically is not a term, but it summarizes what I'm trying to express. And that is challenging yourself, embracing the opportunities. You're going to win, you're going to lose. So what? go through it, learn from it, and move forward. And now here gets in, there's a book that I read called Leaders Eat Last. And that was the first book that I ever read that really opened me up to like biological makeup, how we are made as human beings. And in that book, he talks about, hey, Jake, he talks about these four chemicals, these selfless and these selfish chemicals that every human being is born with. He also talks about the idea of leadership in general. Again, this book is called Leaders Eat Last. But he also talks about the value of community, all these human elements that we're born with. And the author Daniel Pink goes on to mention, he says, and this is talking about scientists studying motivation in the past. And he says, scientists then knew that two main drives powered behavior. So with the early study of what motivates human beings, we go way back to our ancestors upon ancestors to where we began as human beings. And he says there's two main drivers of motivations. We are powered by two main things. The first one being biological. When it started out, my son Rocky, he's 5 weeks old. He doesn't know that he should be hungry. He's acting on instinct, biological drive. I need to eat. I need to drink. There it is, your biological drive. He then says, if biological motivations came from within, the second drive came from without. The rewards and punishments the environment delivered for behaving in certain ways. So he goes on to say that initially when human beings, started inhabiting the earth, we were driven by biological factors. I need to survive. I need to run from that saber-toothed tiger. I need to hunt and gather to provide for my family. Natural instincts. And then he goes on to say that as we evolved as societies, as we evolved as people, that became more complex. We then started to embrace this idea of punishments and rewards. So think of that in your own life. I mean, why do you do what you do? And it's not like there has to be an absolute. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything I do is for the good of other people. No, the reason I drink soda is because, hey, I love me a ice cold Pepsi. It makes me feel good. But part of the reason I make these videos is to make you feel good. It also makes me feel good. So it's not like it has to be all for someone else or all for yourself. But kind of the theme that I want to take from this video is originally there were those two main factors, biological and intrinsic, and biological, which is intrinsic, and then external rewards, which is the punishment or the rewards. And then he goes on to say, so if you think of today's world is pretty weird. It's pretty crazy. And this is 2016. If you're viewing this video in the years to come in 3016, the world is very weird today. What used to make sense doesn't make sense. And going on this early premise of these two sources of motivation, and this is really the encapsulating perspective of this video. And he gives this hypothetical, and he says, imagine years ago, imagine 25, 30 years ago, that you were given a choice. You were an economist. He used the example. He says, you were an economist, and someone said to you, okay, I want you to pick. Tell me which one of these is going to succeed. And he goes on to talk about these two types of encyclopedias that were going to be created in the future. I'll get to that in 1 second, Marissa. And he says, which one of these is going to work? So he mentions this really high-tech, powered encyclopedia that is backed by Microsoft. It's backed by scientists. It's backed by a lot of big buildings, a lot of money going into it, a lot of research, a lot of time. There's one option where people get paid big bucks to do this research. Bienvenidos, Miss Brenneman. But then he says, there's this other encyclopedia where nobody's going to get paid. There's going to be no factual research done, and people are going to be able to post it on this thing called the internet where no one's going to get paid, but people are just going to do it to do it. He said, which one of those is going to succeed? Well, any economist or any rationally thinking person would have said, obviously, the Microsoft one. And he goes on to explain that Encarta, the Microsoft idea for this encyclopedia, completely bombed, completely crashed. Whereas Wikipedia, which is like, I know there's at least one teacher watching here, Wikipedia, which is the enemy to all teachers, is this thing that was created. Nobody's getting paid for it, but it became, hi, James from Brisbane, Australia, but it became this phenomenon. Nobody's getting paid. There's no actual science going into this, but he goes on to use that as an example of this open source world. As I said, it's 2016, we live in kind of a goofy world. This open source world where this intrinsic motivation, forget the rewards, forget the accolades, forget the money, forget the car, look inside. This intrinsic reward of becoming part of something, becoming part of Wikipedia, has driven people to donate their time, donate their money, donate their efforts because it's part of something. And that intrinsic value is, and again, I don't know where this book is going to go. I just started the book. But what I'm catching is this intrinsic motivation, this intrinsic value of either becoming part of something, helping other people, leaving a legacy for your kids or for your team or for your classroom. Those are the things that I know for me motivate me more than anything, but that I'm taking from this book initially as well. And that is a true story. That the Encarta was the I barely remember it, and I'm 35, but he said Encarta was the Microsoft encyclopedia that completely bombed, and Wikipedia turned into what it is today. So there's more that I'd love to talk about. I don't want to get too techy and too scientific on you, but again, whenever we started out in this world, it was intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation. Figure out, think, as you go through your day, why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that motivates you? I'll continue to reinforce the fact that this motivation without action is kind of pointless, it's kind of purposeless. So, appreciate your day. Think about, what is it that motivates me? Is it extrinsic? Is it intrinsic? And it can be a little bit of both. There's no right answer to any of this stuff. So, thank you for listening to AM Excellence 56. What motivates you? I'm getting a lot of these comments. I can't necessarily address them all right now, but I am going to look into having a roundtable where we can do this and we can just talk back and forth instead of me just talking to you. So I will address this one question. Marissa says, how do people become intrinsically motivated instead of externally motivated? And success is one better than the other. My answer to that would be, how do you become intrinsically motivated? You look for something outside yourself that you care about, and you start working towards that. Case in point, these videos. At first I thought, oh, I'm just going to wake up early and I'm going to make a video. If I don't wake up early, then, you know, whatever, I don't make a video. Now I know there's at least 13 people watching right now. That makes me think, oh, it's not about me. It's about this intrinsic value, intrinsic feeling of bringing value to other people. So when you're in doubt and you lack the motivation, forget about yourself. Think of the people that you're impacting or the people that you could impact. So there's that. Thank you all for watching. Please visit charlie-brenneman.com. I'm very excited. It released 14 minutes ago, my interview with UFC champion Frankie Edgar. This was a big milestone for me. It was a goal. It was a goal of mine to have Frankie on as my first guest, and he's an awesome person, awesome champion. You're going to take about 1,000 pieces of value from that interview. It's about 30 minutes. So you can get on charlie-brenneman.com/podcast. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. What motivates you?